Welcome back to The Video Lawyer. I'm attorney Craig Steger, practicing in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. So I am selling my Rodecaster Pro, and I want to tell you why. But before I tell you why, I want to kind of take you through a little history of kind of how I got to where I am now and where I'm going from here. I've been doing YouTube video and or podcasting for about 3 years now, seriously for 2 years. I started out not really sure how to do it, but I started out wanting to do a podcast, but not really being able to figure out how to do an audio podcast and Spotify and Apple and all that. So I started out sort of accidentally on YouTube, kind of before podcasting was really a thing on YouTube, because I had already been posting some kind of home videos on YouTube for a while, and I kind of knew how to do that. And so I figured, well, I'll start there. And the biggest thing that I wanted to tackle from the beginning was to have some decent audio. I knew I needed some decent audio in order to have an effective podcast. And I also wanted the ability to post that podcast over on Spotify and Apple. So what I started doing essentially was I bought a Blue Yeti USB mic. I still have it. It's a great mic. I recorded my videos on Zoom, of all things. And actually, I think Zoom is still a really good option for a lot of people starting out. But I started out recording my videos on Zoom, oftentimes alone, sometimes with someone else. And I just did it on my computer with a Blue Yeti mic. I don't remember if I started out with a webcam or was just using the one on my laptop. But eventually I upgraded to a USB webcam, kind of like I have now. This is being recorded. The primary video is coming from a webcam. And I recorded that way for quite a while. And I also had a co-host with me. And so we actually shared that Yeti mic. And it was good, but definitely not great. But it was better than no external mic, right? And I tried to find workarounds to do that so we could have separate mics going in on Zoom and whatever, but you got all feedback and it wouldn't work. And we wanted to record in the same room. So we shared that Yeti mic for quite a while, recording onto Zoom. And then we eventually upgraded. We went from Zoom to StreamYard. That was actually kind of a big jump. We had been doing it for a while, gaining some traction, and wanted a better video experience than we could get with Zoom without doing editing. I really didn't do any editing on those first videos. I would trim the beginning, trim the end, and then we would just rip it and post. And it did okay. I never really got any complaints about the quality of it, but I wanted to have more quality. So we went to StreamYard, and I used StreamYard for about a year. Same mic system, but it gave you more options if you wanted to share screens, display documents, things like that. You could have an extra camera. And I still use StreamYard, but StreamYard became very, very expensive. And one of the problems I ran into is if you didn't have a very super reliable internet connection, things would cut out. And where I was recording, sometimes the internet was a little bit hit or miss. The Wi-Fi wasn't great. And so that's kind of when we made the switch to Riverside. And around that same time, I decided, okay, we're a serious podcast now, both on audio and in YouTube, and I needed to up our audio game. We needed separate mics. I started out for a little bit. I used a DJI-2 mic, and I still have those great mics, but they're not really designed for podcasting. So I use those for other things, and I quickly realized I needed an audio mixer. An audio mixer is what allows you to have multiple people in the same room with different mics and not get like feedback and all that kind of stuff. So that's when I went in search of an audio mixer. And I at first I had no idea what that even meant. My eyes glazed over. You'd look them up and you'd have these boards with all these buttons with no letters in it. You know, like it looked like a radio station. I'm like, I don't really want to mess with that. I was doing it myself, so I was doing the recording and running things, and I wanted something much more simple to use. And so I went out there and I realized that I was in this podcasting game for the long haul, and I really enjoyed doing it. And I didn't want to like buy something that was kind of cheap, use that for a little while, and then upgrade to what I really wanted. So I was like, I'm going to get what I want right now. And so I settled on the Rodecaster products. And so I have the Rodecaster Pro 2 here in front of me. The main reasons for having an audio mixer, like I said, is the ability to have multiple mics come into it and have it be able to adjust the volume. I'm a little more quiet than my co-host, for example. You can adjust the volume and level them out, sound effects, things like that. Let me see here. And so I basically narrowed it down to the Rodecaster Pro 2, which is the best, like kind of the best in the lineup. That's the Cadillac. Or the Duo, which came out, which is basically the same thing, but I believe it has 2 XLR mic ports in the back, whereas the Rodecaster Pro has 4. You can also hook other types of mics through this, either wirelessly or there's some the USB-C ports in the back. There are different ways to connect mics to it, but the best quality is going to be your XLR mics. Like what I'm using right now, this is an XLR mic and cable. And I was going back and forth between getting the Duo and the Rodecaster Pro, and the Duo was more than adequate for my needs and probably will be for a long time. But the price differential between the two wasn't that great. It was like an extra couple $100 for the Pro. And what I was afraid of is buying the Duo and then finding out in a couple years, I wish I had the Pro, and then I got to sell that and buy the Pro. And I'm like, I want to be available to scale if I have needs above what I currently have. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and buy the Cadillac. Then I know my audio needs are covered regardless of what happens in the future. And so I've had that, and it's an incredible device. It does great audio. I don't even begin to utilize the capabilities of this, primarily because I'm not doing a lot of post-recording editing. So like right now, I record this into a program called Riverside. I do some minor edits on the back end, but I'm not doing a lot. And you will see there's different camera angles here right now. For these kinds of videos, I actually have a company that helps me, and they mesh all the camera angles together. I don't like editing. And so if I'm just doing a podcast or a YouTube video where it's just me, I like to be able to have everything go into Riverside or whatever program you're recording into, and more or less have that to be the finished product, minus some, taking out pauses and things like that. I did that for a while, and it was great. This is how I continue to record to this day. But I realized that while audio is important, video is more important to me than the audio. And so the biggest drop off between, let's say, StreamYard and Riverside from a video standpoint is I could have multiple cameras in StreamYard, only one camera in Riverside. Unless you want to, like I said, have multiple cameras and do a lot of post-production editing, which, again, I don't do that. I'm not interested in that. And so I had to decide, okay, how do I get more camera angles in? How do I do that, especially if I have guests? And so I needed essentially a video mixer. And at the time that I bought the Rodecaster Pro, I think I was kind of aware of a product called the Rode Video, which is essentially the Cadillac. It's the video equivalent of the Rodecaster Pro, but it sort of has the best of both worlds in that it has the audio component of the Rodecaster Pro as well as high quality video management. I think it only has 2 XLR audio ports, which is essentially comparable to the Rodecaster Duo. But then it has all the video capabilities, and the video is the part that I'm really trying to upgrade. So I had been kind of thinking about the Rodecaster Video for a long time. I came close a few times to buying it. It's not cheap. It's over $1,000, and I'm certain it's worth every penny of it. But it was kind of a little above my price point, and I figured I would most likely need to get rid of the Rodecaster, in part because I wouldn't need it, and I didn't need two very expensive devices around. So I just kind of, in the back of my mind, was kind of deciding what I wanted to do. I figured eventually I would go to the Rode video, sorry. And then recently I saw things came out that Rode had now come out with a smaller version of the video. I think it's called the Rode Video S. I believe that's right. It's sort of like, whereas the Rodecaster Pro, they have a Duo, which is a smaller version. The Rode Video they now are coming out with a Rode Video S. The biggest difference between the two is the Rode Video S is less than half the price of the full Rode Video, which makes a big, big difference. And it's really exactly what I need for 99% of the time. And so when it came out, I looked at it and I went ahead and I pre-ordered that. And then I decided, okay, now what am I going to do? Because it will have the two XLR ports as well as some other audio inputs. I really wouldn't need a Rodecaster at all. Now, if you have a lot of audio needs, you can run them both, and people do, and you have like the best of all the worlds. The biggest reason I'm getting rid of the Rodecaster, honestly, is the size of it. And I knew that before I bought it. It's large, and I don't have a ton of space here. This is my normal recording spot. I also record videos at another location. It takes up a lot of room, and it's not very portable. And so I really wouldn't have room on my table for this and a video. The video is going to be a lot smaller. So once I committed to the Rode Video, I decided I'm going to go ahead and try to sell the Rodecaster Pro. It's a great device. It has so many capabilities, but I really wouldn't be utilizing them at all. Like I mentioned before, I'm already kind of just scratching the surface of using it. But once I get the Rode Video, I really won't need it at all. It'll just be sitting there, and that just doesn't seem right either. So, I made the decision to sell the Rodecaster. I sold it to a friend who has his own lawyer podcast, and it's going to be great. And in fact, I think he's getting this and the video. That he's going to have the awesomest setup. If I had more space, I probably would have just kept the Rodecaster and just saved it. But I have limited space, and so it feels kind of cluttered with it here. So I decided I'm going to do the Rode Video. And then here's my backup. So this is the Rodecaster 2. And I did a lot of research on that because I kind of wanted just more of a portable, cost-effective alternative to the Rodecaster, especially if I wanted to just like go someplace, meet a friend, or somewhere and record a podcast. So I got this, and this is what I've actually been using at my other location for one of my other podcasts. And it is so small, and it's less than $100. And so it has two XLR spots, which is great. Two XLR spots, two spots for mics. And I think you can have the mics either on the front or the back, and you can adjust it, the volume level of each person. So you can only do two people on this. You can Bluetooth connect a phone to this, and I've done that. I've had some reaction videos to some podcasts, so I'll play it there. Works great. That very simple. And then what I tend to use for that. So this is my good mic. This is my Rode mic, and then I think this is a Samson. This is kind of my preferred backup mic, and this is what my guests use when I'm here. And then I have two of these at my other location. I believe these are under $100 each, and these are both XLRs, and they hook into the back of this, and so this is a great option if you need to kind of make that jump. Like I probably would, on hindsight, what I would have done when I made the initial jump to an audio mixer has gotten something like this. If it existed, I'm honestly not sure this existed at the time. But this will get you to that audio where you can have two really good microphones coming in, whether you're doing audio only or video. You have that. What I'm going to do in the event that I get to the Rode Video S, and for some reason I need more than two XLR mics, I can run this and then run the audio from here into the Rode Video or possibly into Riverside and basically connect them all together that way. So this is going to be my backup, my expansion option to the Rode Video if it comes to that, rather than having the Rodecaster Pro on standby as a backup. It just felt like overkill to me. So why am I doing this? And let me emphasize a couple things that I've kind of talked about already. My workflow is different than most video producers, most content creators. I like to make a lot of quantity, and I like it to have reasonable quality, but I'm not a perfectionist. From the very beginning, I knew that in order for me to be sustainable as a video maker, I needed to minimize the amount of effort it took from the time of recording to getting it ready for production. If you like to do editing and you want to do that and you have the time, the things I'm talking about here probably aren't as important because you don't need, let's say, a video mixer necessarily. You might have multiple cameras and you record all that footage, and then you go in and you kind of put them all together in post-production in a super quality video editor, or have someone else do that. I didn't want to do either of those. I didn't want to do it myself, and I didn't see the need to pay someone because I'm pretty good at just kind of gripping and ripping. And what I need more than anything else is different camera angles, more than I need to be adjusting, contrast and color and brightness and all that. So that's why I went with the video mixer, because I want to be able to pull in multiple shots, even automatically. So it will be able to auto detect if I'm having a conversation with someone else. We can have two cameras and it will auto detect and switch back and forth, which is great. You don't have to do that in post-production editing. It automatically comes into Riverside that way. And what it will do then is I can, if I want to, also record each of the video files and audio files separate, so that if for some reason I don't like the way it came into Riverside, I can then go in and edit with the actual videos if I want, and like B-roll and stuff like that. I don't expect to do that, but it kind of gives you the best of all worlds. So that's why I'm making the switch that I'm making. I'm really excited for the Video S. I wish I already had it. I don't think it's going to come until mid-December, maybe January. Once that comes, I'll do kind of a full breakdown of it. But I just wanted to, because this was all very confusing to me when I kind of went on the journey of podcasting, and I kind of learned a lot of it just kind of the hard way. I want to just kind of give people like myself, you're a busy professional, lawyer or someone else, and you want to make videos, high quality videos with high quality audio, but not necessarily have to do a lot of editing. This is kind of this, I think this is a really good system for you. And I wanted to kind of break it down in simple terms. So if you have any questions about any of that, if you have questions about the Rodecaster Pro, Riverside, StreamYard, mics, the Vocaster, editing, the editing that we do primarily in Riverside. That's one of the reasons I made the switch to Riverside from StreamYard, is you can record there and do some basic edits. It's more than enough for me. You can change size, you can change layout, you can use AI to cut out filler words and ums and uhs and things like that, which is really cool. That helps me a ton. So you can do some fine tuning if you want, and then it just goes up to like YouTube or wherever you want to put it. The other thing I like about Riverside, as compared to some other programs, because it's a cloud-based program, you can record into it and it's accessible from different locations. So I have two people that help me. I have one that's local, and I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines who does a lot of the editing. I can record into it, and they can go in, access the file, edit it, do some things. I can go in, make some changes, and we're all working on the same file, and we're not having to, um, you know, attach large documents, large files. That's the biggest problem, probably the biggest problem to doing more of a traditional approach. If you want to utilize remote people to help you with that, is you got to get it to them, and then they got to get it down, and then you go back and forth. So by recording into a cloud-based product that also does editing, it allows you to record and edit, and it's much quicker and easier to do that. And so that's the biggest reason I went to Riverside. Riverside is not perfect. It has a few things that I wish it doesn't have, a few things I wish it had. The biggest benefit is that it's cloud-based. The other thing I should mention is this. Unlike StreamYard, which requires a very steady, high-quality internet connection, Riverside, you have to have an internet connection, but if it waxes and wanes, it will record locally onto your device and then upload it when when their internet connection returns. And so it does a great job of handling variations in your internet connection. So that was probably the biggest reason I went to Riverside, and then it just turns out it's a great product overall. So if you have any questions about any of that, feel free to send me a message, leave a comment below. I'll try to put links to the Rodecaster Pro, Riverside if you want to try it. I'll show you links to my mics, the Vocaster, the Video S. It'll go to the Rode site because it's not technically out for sale yet. And I'll do the full video if you want, an Amazon link. Just so you know, if you want to look at them yourself and you can see what I'm talking about, I'll put all that in the description so that you can check that out for yourself. So otherwise, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was clear enough. And like I said, if there's any other questions or confusion, just let me know. I'll be happy to do another video or trying to answer them in the comments. So appreciate you watching. And until next time, everyone, have a good one.